Welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour, your source for all hard rock, heavy metal, new metal, alternative, punk, horror punk, hardcore, rock, and all local bands, with your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bodfather.
Hey, what's up? This is Chris 2 from Anti-Flag. You're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour. Peace out.
The views and opinions of the guests do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of BODS Mayhem Radio Network, its staff, affiliates, or sponsors. Parental discretion is advised. Welcome to BODS Mayhem Radio Network.
Hey folks, it's John the Bod coming at you one more time with another throwback from the vault. This is with Chris 2 of Anti-Flag from 2014. We got a lot of videos that have not got to see a lot of day because I have gotten late to the game of posting to YouTube. So all these interviews will be going up, and just subscribe, folks. Subscribe to the YouTube page. Stay up to date to what we're doing. And once again, the link will be in the video down below in the comment section there. You should be able to see it. Follow us, like us, subscribe to us. And always remember, support local, support BODS Mayhem Hour, and enjoy this interview from Chris 2 of Anti-Flag from 2014. Hey everybody, welcome to BODS Mayhem Hour. I'm your host, John the Bod, a.k.a. the Bodfather. As always, I'm bringing you guys awesome interviews. And today I have one of my top 2 punk bands that are out there right now. They've been around for 20 years. And it's awesome that these guys are still around because they're still kicking ass and they still know how to bring it to the fans. Welcome, Chris 2 from Anti-Flag. Chris, how's it going?
Very well, my friend. Very well. Nice to talk to you.
Yeah, likewise, brother. Likewise. Like I said earlier, I'm excited to have you on the show here. You guys have a best of CD that's getting ready to come out July 22nd called A Document of Dissent. Let's talk about that a little bit. Was it hard for you guys to pick out a lot, the songs for this CD? Or
I think it was hard to convince us to do it in the first place. So we'll start off with, the idea of doing a quote-unquote best of or a retrospective piece. And it's nerve-wracking. It makes you really self-conscious, and it makes you really have to go back with a magnifying glass and look at the things that you've created in your lifetime as not only just a band, but for individuals, artists, or whatever you want to call us, but for friends. And the thing that really pushed it was Fat Mike, and he was like, it's time. And that guy in our life has come along, and as insane as he is, and I'm sure you know that well too well, but he's right. He's just got a great intuition with what things are needed for the scene, what things are needed for the community, and specifically what things work for the bands that he tends to work with. So when Mike says, I think it's time for something, you kind of heed the call. So we sat down together with everyone at FAT, and we sat down with ourselves and everyone who we work with here, whether it's like crew guys that have been on tour with us for the last 10 years, or whether it's, there's a guy who runs our day-to-day, a guy named Jesse Jones, and he's been with us for 15 years, something like that. And we just went through them all. We went through every song, and we talked about it, why it had merits, and why it was important to be a part of the thing. And we ended up with 26 tracks, which kind of blows my mind. But I guess we wrote 300. We got 26 good ones, huh?
This is all I have to say, folks. This is awesome because they've got 9 full-length albums out, and they've got 26 songs on this, best of CD, if that's what you want to call it. So that's pretty damn cool.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting for us.
Looking back over the years, man, what would you say your favorite album is, if there's any?
Well, I think that there's defining ones, and I think that the height of the second Gulf War went into the terror state, and that was a really important record for us as individuals. We really challenged ourselves. We really wanted to make sure that we didn't just start going through the motions of being in a band, but also we really wanted it to be poignant. We were going to anti-war demonstrations at what seemed like every day during the writing and recording process of that record, and you can hear it. It's an anti-war record.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
For Blood and Empire, is another one that was, 2006 and the height of the now repercussions of people who were against the Iraq War before it happened, who were opposing George W. Bush at that time. And, that was a really powerful movement. There was millions of people in the streets every day in 2006. And that was something really exciting to be a part of. And then that was going to the major, and we were being talked to by CNN and being talked to by major news network sources that would have never touched a punk rock band before. So those two records, I think, are the ones that define us the most. And we're writing another one now, and we've got this Document of Dissent, and I kind of wonder where we go and what we do and how we regain that momentum that we had. It seems to have been replaced with a bit of apathy, but the cool thing about being in a band for 20 years is that you get to see the cyclical nature of not only politics, but music in general. Mm-hmm. And I feel like a groundswell coming, whether it's, I went to Warped Tour the other day and the audience was so young. And I thought to myself, I was like, it's coming back around. Like, it's the Mumford and Sons shit and whatever's happening. Like, there's going to be a knee-jerk reaction to that. Whether it's good music or not, that's not the point of it. The point is, once something becomes so prevalent, the antithesis to it kind of takes over. And I'll be excited to see rock music be put back into the forefront again.
I'm not knocking Warped Tour or anything, but I remember I graduated high school from '99, and I remember back in in those days, the Warped Tour was awesome. I mean, you had all these awesome punk bands, No Effects, you guys. You had Social Distortion was even on it, and I mean, and now I'm looking at the lineups and going, who are these?
Yeah. And it's one thing, we have a tendency to snap into old guy mode, get off my lawn. But as long as there's honest music being created, I'm not genre specific about it.
Right.
I think that what has happened over the last few years and the last decade in particular, music became really viable. You could make a lot of money playing punk rock or aggressive music. So when that tends to happen, you get a bunch of folks that are just making it for that reason. Mm-hmm. And that's music that I don't really want to be a part of. So I think that's why you've seen kind of a shift in what the Warped Tour looks like. It's a certain sect of bands has taken over. But, whether or not Warped is a good thing or not, I don't know. I just know that it was exciting to me to look out and see young people at, the Terror played Warped Tour, and they had a great show. And I thought to myself, like, man, fucking Terror's on Warped Tour. What a crazy concept, So there was some really interesting parts to it, and then there was a lot of really bullshit parts too. But I think that's society as a whole.
I agree with you, man. I love horror punk music. I mean, I absolutely love it. And there's a lot of the local horror punk bands are really keeping that alive, and it's amazing how their fans are loyal to these people, to these bands.
Yep.
It's insane.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that comes with the ethos of punk rock, and whether it's horror punk or whether it's street punk or whether it's political punk rock, like the idea that we build a community, that's where that loyalty comes from. It doesn't come from we're going to try to get popular so that we can be on the radio. It goes with let's build something real so that we can do this for a long time. And I think that that's why Anti-Flag's been a band for 20 years, is because we started out playing basements and house shows and meeting people and making friends, and those friends grew and they had other friends, and that's what snowballed into the band that we are today. And we still have so many of those relationships intact. A perfect example of that is the fact that Fat's putting out the retrospective. We haven't put out a record on Fat since 2003. That's 11 years ago, but we still are good friends with them. We keep those relationships intact, and I think that that's what ultimately real punk rock is about. It's about a community.
Since you guys have the 9 full-length albums out, how much growth have you seen from album to album?
I think we've taken steps forward and back, I think that we took a really great leap when we were on the major and we had Sony dollars at our expense to make whatever type of sounding record we wanted to make. And then I think that you saw a knee-jerk reaction to that with the 2 records that we just did for Side One Dummy, where we were excited to just build a makeshift studio in our basement here and be a punk band again. So as we're writing now, I think we're trying to push ourselves further. And I know that the new songs we're writing are definitely more lyrically driven than maybe we've been on the last 3 records, which is interesting to say for a political punk band. You'd think everything would be based around the lyric, but we're tending to write based out of feel. Like, we can write a song that sounds like it's tackling the subject
right.
we want it to sound, But now it's about, well, what's the idea? We can write any type of music to this theme, and what's the theme? And I think that, there's a lot of shit going on. I mean, there's a song that we're working on right now, and there's a plane shot out of the sky over Ukraine right now, and you wonder to yourself, like, what's happening in the world, and that kind of uncertainty or trepidation about the world leads to a lot of different types of art and a lot of, I think, poignant art, and we're hoping to be a part of that dialogue.
Yeah, I was at work and I actually had seen it, and it makes me sick of all this cover-up BS, and it is.
Yep.
I mean, I'm not stupid. You're not stupid. We both know what's going on.
Yep.
So that's why I won't fly. I've said it today from day one. I will not do it.
Yeah.
I won't.
I mean, unfortunately, I have to do it, and we have to fly to Kiev this summer. So,
oh no.
It makes you worried, and fear makes people make poor decisions for themselves, and any decision that's made and dictated out of fear doesn't necessarily tend to be a good one. So I'm hopeful that we can continue to do the things that we're going to do and continue to push and challenge people. And but the world's insane right now, whether it's the NSA tapping, whether it's the cover-up side, whether it's planes dropping out of the sky. It's definitely, there's a lot of uncertainty.
I love the whole UFO cover-up because I believe in the cryptozoology stuff, and I've seen some stuff with my own eyes, and it's out there. It has to be.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not exactly sure how I feel about it. I haven't had similar experiences, but I wouldn't be shocked. I mean, even in our planet alone, there's a lot of things that many of us don't understand.
Yep.
And the universe is far too large to surely say that there's nothing else out there.
That's very true, man. Very, very true. With the new album that you guys are writing right now, when do you possibly think it may be out, or are you guys just in the first stages of it?
Well, we're pretty far in. We've written maybe 15 songs at this point.
Okay.
And we'll probably end up somewhere in the 20 to 30 range by the time we're done, and looking to get into the studio in October, and who knows how long it'll take. I think that we're at a really pivotal point in the band's life where if we don't make a record that is better than anything we've done, there's really no reason for us to make one. We can go out and tour on Die for the Government or For Blood and Empire, or, we can do what a lot of bands are doing where they're just playing one of their more popular records the whole way through. We can go and do that for a while and survive and be fine. But if we're going to write a record, it's got to be really great. And, the only thing I can kind of compare it to is when Bad Religion came out with Sorrow, you felt like, fuck, our band is back,
Yeah.
And I feel like we're at that stage, and if we can write the right songs and we can do the right things and play with the right bands and keep in touch with the community the right way, there's no reason why we can't do this for another 10 years or so. Yeah,
Rancid is another band I like to see put out a good album.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Yeah, I mean, even Rancid, whenever they came back with Indestructible, that record was so important to their career.
Yeah, it was.
It made people remember how great of a songwriter Tim is, and how awesome of a voice Lars has, and that's a really, I'd love to see us turn that corner and to do something like that.
For the folks that are out there listening to the interview, you guys, like I said, you guys have been around for 20 years. Was it hard for you guys getting started to get fan support, or did they snag right on, or how was that?
Well, I mean, yeah, it took a long time. Like, I joined the band after Die for the Government,
Right.
At the end of '98. So the band had been together for 5 years when I had joined, and they were big in Pittsburgh and pretty big in New York City and Cleveland, and there was maybe 300 to 500 kids at each one of those shows. And I remember thinking, like, shit, man, I just joined the biggest band in the world. And then, we drove 4 hours away, and there was 10 people there, and I was like, oh no, what the fuck did I do? So there's definitely a lot. It was a long process. Even it wasn't until the end of New Kind of Army and that cycle in like 2000, even going into 2001 and post September 11th, when things started to connect on a much larger level for the band, where we felt as if, okay, we don't need to just survive tour to tour. We can take our time and do things. And that came from just playing shows. That came from not worrying what other people thought, not worrying the fact that there was only 10 people in Columbus. We were going to come back no matter what. People tend to get disenfranchised with what's happening when they feel like they've put in work and that they're not seeing immediate returns. But we only know how to play these songs, and we love playing them. So we'll play it for 10 people. We'll play it for 10,000.
And that's the thing about it, man. Regardless if there's 2 people there, it's still got to be an awesome show regardless. And I've heard people talk, even the locals around here, they've had 50 people show up. And it was just an amazing, amazing time.
I agree.
What got you into music? What was it for you that said, that's exactly what I want to do?
My trajectory was pretty strange. My brother was at odds with the law a lot whenever I was young. And I didn't, I was maybe 9 years old, 7 to 9. And I didn't really have a frame of reference as to why I disliked police other than they hassled my brother. Yeah. But I disliked police. And I heard one day from his stereo, "Fuck the police" playing. And I was like, fuck the police. I fucking hate the police, So that was my first introduction into it. And I had a cousin who I told that I really, this is what I listened to, "Fuck the police." And he was like, "You can't listen to that." And I was like, "I do." And then he made me a cassette tape that had Bad Religion on one side and a band called Cringer on the other side. And he's like, "You should listen to this. They say fuck the police, but a little bit smarter." and I was like, cool, but the politics were a little too over my head. And I told him that I didn't really understand a lot of it. And so he gave me a Dead Kennedys record. And then from there, I was like, this is what I love. And then I found Green Day and melodic punk rock. And Green Day was the band that kind of showed me I can play. I don't need to just listen. And their concept or the way they did it was simple enough that I felt like anyone can do this. And from there, I just started playing music around town, and I ended up meeting the guys in Anti-Flag and becoming friends with them. And I joined the band whenever I was 17 years old, graduating high school in 1999, just like you.
There is 2 bands that I absolutely love from Pennsylvania other than you guys. Actually, Pittsburgh, I should say. I'm sorry. August Ruins is one of the bands, and Children of October. So if you guys ever get a chance, check them out because they're unbelievable guys.
Yeah, I've seen both those bands.
They're really, really good bands, and I think August Ruins is getting ready to come out with another album right now.
Oh, cool. I know that they kind of come in and out of dysfunction, so it'll be good if they're kicking around and making new records again.
What can fans expect at an Anti-Flag show from you guys?
It depends on the show. If it's more of a festival, if it's a bigger show, you'll see a different side of the band. It'll be a little less jovial. We'll be maybe a little bit more focused and trying to explain that Anti-Flag is a band that stands against racism, sexism, homophobia, and bigotry. And we take a lot of time to explain what the songs are about and what we're doing, but we're also trying to incorporate everyone who's there into the show. And that means someone high in the rafters at a stadium show or someone way at the end of the field if it's a parking lot Warped Tour show. But if you're at a club show for Anti-Flag, you're going to feel safe, man. There's a lot of solace in that room, and it's a place where people can be themselves and not have to worry about the things that you have to worry about at your 9-to-5 job or at school or at the dinner table with mom and dad. It's a place where, for at least a couple hours of the show, the evils of the world tend to not exist, and that's something we're really inspired by daily, and that's probably the most poignant element of Anti-Flag is that live club show setting where, again, you just kind of feel free, and that's very rare these days.
And you guys don't realize how much you mean to the fans, because what you guys put out, the fans, we really feel it and we really appreciate what you guys do, because it's just weird how music can touch people. And, if they're going through a bad time, they can put the disc in or whatever, listen to your music, and just be took away from it all. I think it's a blessing that you guys do it.
Yeah, we feel the same way. We get the energy right back, and those feelings are reciprocated on our end. That's why we've been able to be a band for 20 years. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of friends who have unfortunately had to, call it quits or move on or do other things in their lives. And, that's obviously their goal in life to do something different. But for us, we just want to play these songs and be around people that give a fuck about the world. And it's a pretty simple idea. And we've been very fortunate to be able to do it this long.
The first time you heard the fans sing along to the music, how'd that make you feel?
It was kind of, it's always inspiring. It always blows me away.
Yeah.
And what I love about it is the unpredictability of it. You think some nights, okay, it's going to be this song. They're going to No Die for the Government. And you go, and nobody sings back at you. And then it ends up being some song off of Bright Lights of America that we just decided to play on a whim that people go apeshit for. So if you try to figure out the code, if you try to crack the code, I think the punk rock gods just fuck with you on purpose. So we tend to just give in to the moment, and if folks are singing, we'll throw them the mic and let them give it hell.
Yeah. And you know what? I think a lot of bands have lost that way, Chris. I think that I don't know what's happened, but you can tell that a lot of bands have lost their way like that, and it sucks. I don't know.
Well, I think it's difficult because you feel like you have to compete with the fact that everyone's got a cell phone at their hands at the show, or the fact that people are on Twitter talking about whether or not the night before was a good show, and that might convince someone who wants to go the next night not to go. There's an immediacy to everything that happens these days that it's very different. So you have a tendency to not actually be present in the moment. Fortunately for us, we tend to yell really loud and demand attention. And so we've been able to fight through that a little bit.
Since it's the digital age, Chris, do you think that it's helped out bands like social media and things like that, or do you think it's hurt?
It's definitely both. It's definitely both. I think that for us, we struggle financially because people don't buy records anymore, and you can see it.
Yeah.
You see it week to week. It's a science. It's not a fucking myth.
Yeah.
However, we now have complete access to people that do care about our band and want to know about shows, but a lot of times that can sound like white noise. It can just sound like you're constantly promoting something, but the reality is you have to put something up on the web every couple minutes, or else your voice isn't represented there. Mm-hmm. And that's a tough place for us to be, because we never want to feel like we're soliciting anyone to do anything. We want people to make the choices for themselves, but we also want a fair shot to have people come see our band or come hear our records, and that means playing ball in the age of the internet.
In your own opinion, what does Anti-Flag bring to the table of music?
Well, I think that what Anti-Flag brings that others don't bring, and it's kind of hard to talk about anything like this and not sound narcissistic or, too self-aware, but the thing that I believe us to be better at than most is just the show. It's just the way we care about our songs, because we love fucking playing them. And I've played Die for the Government every year for the last 15 years, or every show for the last 15 years, and I still fucking love that song, and I still want to play it every show. And that's I don't think a lot of I know a lot of bands don't feel the same way. And I hear them talk about their old records like they're embarrassed of them or they would change them, and I wouldn't change a thing, you know. The records that we've created they're going to last longer than me. I'm going to be long and dead, and you're going to be able to listen to a song that me and my friends wrote together. And I think that's a really cool, beautiful document of where we're at a certain time.
Are there any memorable shows that stick out in your mind?
There's so many, man.
Yeah.
There's so many. Yeah. Like we headlined this festival in Poland. It's a free festival called Woodstock, and there was 350,000 people there.
Wow.
And yeah, it's the biggest festival in Europe, and it's a mind-blowing event. But then, you know, we also played on that same tour a 300 cap benefit for Pussy Riot, and everyone in the show wore balaclavas like Pussy Riot, and we took photos with the whole audience and sent them to the women in prison. And, like, you know, that show felt like it had a huge impact, and it was only 300 people. There's no rhyme or reason to which one becomes memorable, but we've been a part of so many really cool moments in this band that you know, it's a really humbling experience to be talking about it like this, because we never got the opportunity to. We were always just moving, and now with doing the Document of Dissent retrospective, we get to kind of stop and look back over all the things we've been able to do.
I actually remember the Pussy Riot benefit.
Yeah, absolutely, and you know, it went all the way up to people like Madonna being involved. You know, it's really cool. And that's going to the digital age. Like that doesn't happen without the internet and the voices on the internet talking about and keeping the prisoners of conscience of Pussy Riot on the dialogue of the world.
Yeah, I wanted to bring this up, too, because me and you were talking about it before we started the interview here. You guys just did Riot Fest, and ladies and gentlemen, this festival is insane. You've got you got metal, punk, what is it, rockabilly. I mean, you've got several genres of music. Motley Crue was there. Danzig was there. Was Social Distortion there, I think? No, maybe?
It's like so long and so big, and it's incredible. Yeah, you throw a dartboard at a CD case and you got that.
How was that for you guys, man, playing at a festival like that?
It's amazing. It was amazing. The people were there to rock and to be rocked, and many of them were familiar with Anti-Flag, and a large section of them wasn't, and we gave them fucking hell, man. That's what we do.
Yeah, it's just like, you know, I was interviewing Spike, and he said, Anti-Flag's killing it right now. I was like, man, come on. Come on.
That's cool. Yeah, Spike's a great guy, and he's also from Pittsburgh. So.
Yeah, that's what he was talking about. And I said, well, you got to be a Steelers fan, man. Come on, got to be. Yeah. Hopefully Steelers do good this year.
I'm a hockey only guy.
Pittsburgh Penguins fan then. Okay.
Yep.
I like the Steelers. I've always been a Steelers fan, and I don't know. I hope they do good this year, but football is just up in there.
I'm sure they'll do well enough. Who knows?
That's very true. My last question for you, Chris. How is it for you guys when you get an email or a fan comes up to you after a show, before a show, and says, hey, your music has inspired us, it's pulled us through a dark hole? What's that mean to you guys?
Well, I mean, that's the fuel to go to the next city. I mean, that's how you get things done, is by meeting people like that. And I think that the political nature of the band has led to some really inspiring moments of people coming and talking about how they now work for the ACLU, or they're now, you know, they were going to join the military, but then have opted to be a conscientious objector. And, you know, there's so many things in our lives that we've encountered with folks that have changed their plan because a song or a show or something that we were a part of changed their trajectory. And that's tremendously humbling. And, you know, there are not many words to describe when someone tells you that you've impacted their life other than thank you, and that they've impacted us the same way.
Yeah. I want to tell you right now, you guys have helped me out. You know, I've lost my dad 14 years this November, and your guys' music has helped me out, as so as several other bands. I just want to say, as a fan, thank you guys so much for doing that.
Thank you, man. And we're always sorry when we lose the ones that we love, but I think that if there are things that we connect with that keep them in our hearts and keep them close to us, that's all we could hope for. And if it's a song or if it's a record or if it's the work that you're doing at the station, like all of that stuff is positive, and keep going towards that, man.
I appreciate that. And you know what? And you guys have full support from BODS Mayhem Hour and Uber City Radio. So I've been playing your guys' music for a while on here, and I got to say that the first time I heard Die For Your Government locked me on in a heartbeat, because I was like, oh, check this out. That's
awesome, man. That's awesome. Thank you, brother.
Chris, you guys are on tour right now. How can people stay in touch with you guys, buy your merch?
Anti-flag.com or any of the social media sites that exist in the world. It's all Anti-Flag. Just go find it.
Before I let you go, will you please do a promo for my show?
Yeah, brother. All right. Hey, what's up? This is Chris 2 from Anti-Flag. You're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour. Peace out.
Everybody stick around. We got some music coming up from Anti-Flag. And do not forget to pick up their A Document of Dissent, the best of Anti-Flag from 93 to 2013. 20 years, guys. 20 years and still kicking ass. That comes out July 22nd. Chris, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thank you, man. Have a great day.
You're listening to BODS Mayhem Hour.
Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram.